please? Okay.
My name is Jake Williams. I'm a John Marshall High student. I have a few concerns about my school. I'm an IEP student, and in the last maybe 4 years of going to school, I have seen an increase in IEP students and having many more in the classroom with us. And some of them have more behavior problems than others, and they will like act up in class, which takes away from our learning time. And the more that come, the more that act bad is another bad influence on the other kids in class. And there's more of them that are starting to behave in class and be kind of bad, and we're not getting our like right learning capabilities handed to us. And another concern is in English, in like my English class, for instance, I had an inclusion class where I'm with all regular students, and I was transferred in the middle of the year from being in the IEP class to the inclusion class. I'm falling behind in English now because of that switch in the year, and they were farther up than my IEP class. And these are two like concerns that are very big in just that community of the IEP students and having so many of them.
Okay. What's your name, son?
Jacob Williams.
Let's give Jacob a nice hand. Great job. Now, Jacob referred to something called IEP. And IEP is an acronym for Individualized Educational Program. That means that a student has a special set of conditions around his or her learning that they are entitled to get based upon a certain set of academic needs that the student will have. Now, Jacob is right to the degree that the district has experienced an increase in the number of students who are on some form of an IEP over the last several years. We probably have somewhere, Jacob, between 18 to 20% of our student body that is on some form of an IEP. And an IEP essentially, Jacob, is your contract with the district. And so we have to follow that based upon what your specific needs may be. And then when that's changed, there has to be a meeting of people coming together to do that. Your parent would be there, the teacher would be there, the principal would be there, other professional people in the district, and there would be this pretty significant discussion specifically about you and whether or not we should put you in this class or that class, or take you out of this class or that class. So there shouldn't be a whole lot of moving going on without your parents and other people being involved in the process. Now, I think where I really appreciate your question is around the notion of disruption in the class. Because what you want to do, obviously, based on the fact that you're here tonight and you asked such a very good question, is you're obviously very interested in your education. You want to progress through high school. You want to move on to post-high school opportunity, college, career, et cetera, et cetera. And so my real concern is around the fact that you don't feel like you can get that kind of instruction and time on task that you need. And so what we need to do in that case is we need to have a conversation with your parent. We need to call that teacher in. We need to call the principal in. We need to talk about what's happening in your class so that we can correct that situation. Now that'll mean getting other parents involved. Now I know this is far away from the question of the tool and you know, those kind of things. These are real sort of issues that the forum is open to discussing, so you'll have to indulge me for just a second. So what we need to do in that case is have a very specific set of conversations around what you're doing. You should have a plan. And you're a junior this year?
Yes, sir.
You're a junior? So next year you graduate. And so we need to be talking about what are you going to do the year after that, you know, what your next steps are. And so if you're not having the kind of experience that you should have, then it's my responsibility as your CEO to get you to that kind of situation. So what we'll do is we'll get your name, and we'll get your parents' name, and we'll talk with your principal, and we'll arrange a time that we can do this very soon so we can address your specific concern. We'll give you one quick follow-up.
All right, I even considered transferring to Carl F. Schuler because it is a smaller school. There's less children there. It's a smaller populated school, and that it is a good idea. But at the same time, I want to be at Marshall because Marshall they have very good teachers. their curriculum and everything is good. It's just that the students there, there's so many of them, and most of them are just in these classes because of behavior problems.
Okay.
Most of them don't even have individual like disabilities.
Here's what we're going to do. I got you. Now, your choice of school is based upon your parent and your choice. So I'm going to figure out the advantages and disadvantages to one school versus the other. So that's kind of, now I can give you advantages myself and disadvantages and tell you which one I think you ought to do, but that's between you and your parent. What we should do is wherever you go to school, either one, provide you with the kind of environment that's conducive to what you're trying to do. So what we'll do is we'll do an individual follow-up so that we can address your very specific concern. And thank you for your question.
Is the student involved in the IEP because he was very articulate? I think he knows what his needs are, and I don't know when they have these IEPs, I did not hear the mention that the student is involved.
Are the
After age
students?
14.
Okay. There are some very specific rules around the IEP, who can be there, because there's a lot of delicate data. And so, and then each student has a different set of needs and dynamics. So, as a high school person, my style is to always include the student because they need to hear and be aware of what's happening. I have a nephew who is on an IEP. He was a freshman at Ohio State this year, and he just graduated, and he's been there 3 weeks. He's been to football games and all that kind of cool stuff. And so he's on a good track, and so it's just more evidence that whatever you're dreaming of or thinking of doing, that you certainly want to keep aggressively moving in that direction. Okay.